so anything that you say to her that's cross is abusive. Sorry, it's not real world.
Welcome back to Beyond Sister Wives, where we debunk the rumors, pull back the curtain, and tell you what really goes down behind the Brown family's picture-perfect veneer. Today's story isn't another family meltdown or emotional implosion. It's the beginning of the end, a financial reckoning years in the making, because this time it's not rumor. It's reality court filings, legal documents, cold hard facts. The caption says it all. Janelle's $600,000 payday, and the shocking reality behind it is this. Kody and Robyn are being forced to sell out. To witness how this transpired, we need to go back in time when everything was still picture perfect, when the Brown family was united with one vision. Coyote Pass. All the way back in 2018, the visionary was Kody Brown. He promised his wives a new beginning in Flagstaff, a sprawling estate where she would have her own house, her own kingdom, but still be part of one family. He called it their future, their legacy, but in reality, it was a time bomb waiting to explode. Behind every vision grand is a bill grander, and Coyote Pass had one. Water, electricity, land development, property taxes. Every detail of that utopia was in the hundreds of thousands. The family lacked the funds, but one wife had, Janelle Brown. For years, she'd been the family's quiet financial support. The woman who worked full-time while the rest of them got to stay at home. The wife who covered bills when Kody couldn't. The one who never asked for attention, only fairness. And when it came time for Kody to find money to close the deal on the land, she delivered. She sold her home. She cashed in her savings. And she gave up nearly $400,000 to fund the family dream. At least, she thought so. What she didn't know, or maybe what she didn't want to believe then, was that the family dream was quietly becoming Kody and Robyn's own mini-empire. The funds intended for building up the land were quietly being siphoned off. Instead of investing in Coyote Pass, Kody and Robyn indulged in a $1 million home in Flagstaff. While Janelle resided in an RV on dirt property that she owned legally, Kody and Robyn were drinking coffee in a 5-bedroom home financed by her money. The inequality was cruel. But Janelle kept quiet, until she didn't. What Kody didn't know was that before she ever gave up any of that money, Janelle had visited a lawyer who specialized in finances. After years of watching her money disappear into family projects, she needed to be protected. She wanted her say to be counted, and that's when she did, something no one else in the Brown family had ever done. She drafted an agreement, the Coyote Pass Investment and Promissory Note. Agreement. It declared her $400,000. Donation wasn't a gift, wasn't a donation, wasn't family money. It was a loan, one due to be repaid in 5 years, or upon the sale of any Brown family property. It was paid interest on. And most significantly, it contained a personal guarantee signed by both Kody and Robyn Brown. If the LLC was unable to pay, they themselves would be responsible for the debt. When Janelle brought the paper to them, they responded as could be expected. Kody brushed it aside as a technicality. Robyn cried, scolding Janelle for doubting the family. But in the end, they signed it anyway. They saw it as a technicality. It wasn't. That paper would be the instrument that Janelle would ultimately use to bring down the dynasty. Flash forward to 2023. Coyote Pass dreams dissipated. Christine died, Mary died. Family pot was dry. Land sat undeveloped, worthless without utilities. But not that promissory note. That single forgotten piece of paper. 5 years had passed. No payment, no construction, no family. And that meant one thing. Janelle could recover legally. The first move was clandestine. A lawyer's letter. A demand to pay the original $400,000 plus interest accumulated, an amount now in excess of $600,000. When that letter arrived at the Brown homestead, it exploded like a bomb. Behind-the-scenes insiders described the scene as chaos. Robyn sobbing, blaming Janelle for attempting to ruin their lives. Kody shouting, pacing, insisting it was all family money. He accused Janelle of betrayal, of abandoning their religious covenant. But all that didn't matter anymore. Janelle had receipts. She had the signed contract. proof and the law on her side. The Browns ignored the notice. They thought Janelle would fold. She didn't. A few weeks later, a lawsuit was filed in an Arizona court, Janelle Brown versus Dabsark LLC, Kody Brown, and Robyn Brown. The charge: breach of contract, failure to pay. For the first time in the history of the program, the subdued, level-headed Janelle Brown wasn't the good wife. She was the plaintiff. And when it came time for the court to hear the case, Kody's entire kingdom began to fall apart. Because what had started out as a family misunderstanding was going to become a court-ordered foreclosure. The man who had once boasted himself patriarch of a polygamous dynasty was on the brink of losing his house to the woman he underrated most. And this was just the beginning. When the lawsuit became public record, the shockwaves rippled through Flagstaff like an earthquake. The headlines were everywhere. Janelle Brown sues Kody and Robyn for $600,000. For fans, it was vindication. For Kody and Robyn, it was the beginning of the end. Panic turned to desperation within the Brown mansion. Kody, the so-called family head always managed to pop up, couldn't take the shame. His divine leadership meant nothing to the law of Arizona. A judge didn't care about heavenly covenants. The only covenant that mattered was the one they inked on. Paper, the Coyote Pass investment and promissory note. Agreement, and that document had his signature on it. Sources close to production say Kody's meltdown was brutal. He ripped through the house yelling that the courts don't understand our faith, bemoaning the lawsuit as a persecution of their family and their religion. Robyn, in tears, tried to spin the narrative. She told anyone who would listen that Janelle was heartless, that she was making us homeless out of spite. But in court, none of that mattered. The hearing began in late spring. Janelle walked into the courthouse not as a cast member, not as a wife, but as a creditor. No dramatic jewelry, no drama, no tears, just understated confidence. The judge, the lawyers, even the reporters could see. She was ready. Kody and Robyn came in together, flanked by their attorney. Kody's jaw was tight. Robyn hid behind oversized sunglasses, grasping her purse like a shield. TLC's power couple was no more. Two defendants stood before the court, broke, trapped, and ready to endure the consequences of years of deception. Janelle's lawyer began with particularity. He laid out the facts: an exclusive written agreement, a vow to repay, in writing, 5 years of silence, and a ballooning debt now worth just over $595,000, with interest and legal fees. Then he dropped the bombshell. A certified copy of the document with Kody and Robyn's signatures. Dated, notarized, ironclad. That judge leaned forward. You're telling me this is a legally binding agreement between the parties? Yes, Your Honor, the lawyer replied, and the defendants have not paid a single dollar. Silence filled the courtroom. When it was Kody's lawyer's turn to rebut, he tried the same worn-out argument the Browns had been using for years: family money. He maintained that the Browns constituted a single financial unit, that Janelle's money was not separate, that everything she earned went into the family pot. He framed the lawsuit as a breach of their plural marriage covenant, as a personal attack cloaked as a financial disagreement. Then Janelle's attorney asked the question that put an end to the argument. Mr. Brown, is this family financial corporation registered with the state of Arizona? Kody hesitated. Well, no, it's more of a shared system. So it's not a real corporation? No, it's... Then how can a make-believe system override a signed legal contract? The lawyer interrupted. You took her money. You promised to repay it. You didn't repay. End of story. Kody's face turned red. He started ranting about loyalty, faith, and unity. The judge interrupted him. Mr. Brown, this is a court of law. Not a church. Robyn was next. Her lawyer tried to humanize her. The loving wife, victim of the family breakdown, emotional center of the show. She dabbed at her eyes with tissues, talking about how much Janelle meant to her, how this was all a misunderstanding. Then Janelle's lawyer questioned her directly. Mrs. Brown, Did you or did you not tell my client, quote, "We'll pay you back as soon as our Vegas house sells"? Robyn froze. She looked across at Kody. "I can't remember the exact words," she stammered. "It was such an emotional time. So you're not denying it?" "I'm saying I don't remember," she whispered. That was it. There was no more the judge needed to hear. Robyn's crocodile tears were legally worthless. Her memory loss seemed to be what it was. Avoidance. Then came the moment that would have everyone talking for weeks. Janelle herself took the stand. Her voice was calm but resolute. "For 30 years, she started. I invested everything in that family. My money, my work, my trust. When I handed over that $400,000, I handed it over in trust. But I also handed it over under a promise. That promise was broken. I don't ask for anything more than what's mine. I just want the respect I'm entitled to." Every word dropped like an anvil. The judge looked down at the papers one last time, then back up at Robyn and Kody. "This isn't a matter of faith or family," he said. "It's a matter of fact." Then came the verdict. The court finds in favor of plaintiff Janelle Brown. Defendants Kody Brown and Robyn Sullivan. Brown are hereby ordered to pay the sum of $600,000 in damages, with accrued interest and legal fees. Robyn gasped. Kody's face went pale, but the judge wasn't through. Due to the defendant's inability to pay and lack of liquid assets, this court hereby orders the immediate initiation of asset liquidation, including the sale of the defendant's homestead, to satisfy the judgment. The gavel came down, bang, it was done. The courtroom was silent except for Robyn's stifled sobbing. Janelle didn't gloat. She just nodded, stood, and departed. It was a first in the history of the Brown family. The patriarch had been legally defeated, not by another husband, not by a religious war, but by a woman he had once demeaned as too logical. The judge's decision was clear. The house, Kody and Robyn's mansion, would have to be sold. The courtroom was silent, but the hurricane that followed was deafening. Inside the Brown mansion, the walls that once echoed with narcissism now echoed with panic. The judge's ruling hit like a wrecking ball. Kody and Robyn were given 30 days to pay Janelle, or else face a forced sale of their home. 30 days. To Kody, it was not a court order. It was humiliation. The man who had once exercised divine right over his domain was now being ordered by a judge to surrender his kingdom. Insiders within the family say the outburst that followed the verdict was complete chaos. Kody stormed through the house, crashing doors, screaming cries of betrayal. "This isn't about money," he thundered. "This is spiritual warfare. Janelle's attempting to kill us." Robyn did turn her misery into a performance, though. Tears flowed like a metronome. She told her children that Aunt Janelle is stealing our house, casting herself as the victim of a spiteful vendetta. The truth was much simpler. Janelle was not stealing someone else's property. She was reclaiming money she had earned, money they had stolen, and respect they had never given. The lien had already been placed by the court. The title of the mansion now carried Janelle's judgment like a scar. Kody and Robyn could not refinance, sell, or even borrow against it without compensating her. The dream home was now locked in law. Kody did all that he could to stall. He retained attorneys. He demanded appeals. He even threatened to file for bankruptcy, an ultimate measure that would have tarred the good Brown family reputation. The court system didn't care about pride. The injunction stayed in effect, and then there was the part that made it official: the realtor sign. Neighbors saw the for sale sign hammered into the manicured lawn of the Brown property days after the deadline had passed. Court-ordered was written in icy, bold letters across the listing sign. It was official. The house on sale. For years, it was Robyn's stronghold, her trophy, her safety, her testament that she had won the family pecking order. Each brick, each imported finish, each picture on those walls was a testament to her reign as the favored wife. It now was testament to defeat. Kody was furious. He accused Janelle of cheating, Christine of playing games with him, even TLC of editing his life into ruins. He stormed for hours through the empty rooms, bad-mouthing unfaithful. Women and haters, He griped to producers, off camera, that the court system was corrupt and that no one gets celestial marriage. Celestial marriage doesn't stop. Foreclosure. Behind the sobs, Robyn was unraveling. She couldn't hide crying from her children. She told them that people were coming for their home, that this wasn't fair, that Aunt Janelle doesn't love us anymore. What she didn't say to them is that she'd signed the very same document that swept them all away. Her name was on the contract. Her signature was on the vow. She'd personally guaranteed the debt, the same home she fought to preserve. The one that Janelle's money helped buy was the one up for sale to pay her back. Poetic. Justice never falls so nicely, and while Kody and Robyn were wrapped in chaos, Janelle was calm. She didn't gloat. She didn't tweet. She didn't even speak to the press. Her silence spoke louder. Her lawyer swore that as soon as the sale went through, proceeds would go directly toward paying the $600,000 judgment, principal, interest, and fee. Every single penny. A panic was brewing at TLC production offices as well. The network had no idea what to do. They couldn't film in a house under court order. They couldn't pretend everything was fine when court filings were open records. Executives were said to have held emergency meetings. Should they handle it? Brush it off? Spin it as a family decision to downsize? Ultimately, the lawyers intervened. They had to be careful. While all this was happening, fans didn't wait for TLC to catch up. Reddit, Twitter, and YouTube lost their minds with rumors. Photos of the for sale listing circulated like hotcakes. Fans magnified pictures, comparing interior decor from episodes to make sure it was indeed the mansion. The captions were vicious. Guess the favorite wife finally got evicted. Janelle didn't need revenge. She needed a receipt. And in the midst of it all, Janelle was silent. The silence in the storm that she had cried out for years ago. She was finally free. No longer holding out for the promises of Kody. No longer acting like Coyote Pass ever was going to be. No longer guilty for standing up for herself. While Janelle's world came into its own, Kody's came crashing down. As Kody and Robyn's world disintegrated, Janelle's world came into order. She had her money, legal safeguards, and something far more valuable: peace. But the backlash wasn't over. For while the selling process began, Kody's panic turned into revenge. Secretly, he started plotting something extreme, something that would involve the rest of the family in his chaos. The for sale sign was not just a symbol of financial defeat, it was a personal defeat, and Kody Brown does not lose quietly. As the court-ordered sale process began, something inside him snapped. The patriarch who had dominated 4 families with bluster and sermonizing was now just another man whose foolish decisions finally came back to bite him. The cameras were not rolling, but the real drama had only begun. Behind closed doors, Kody launched what sources are calling his last stand. He insisted on stopping the sale, no matter what. He started calling lawyers again, not to pay Janelle, but to ascertain whether he could exact revenge on her. He vented that she lied to him into signing the contract, that she used the legal system to attack his religion. His lawyer reportedly told him bluntly, "You signed it. You defaulted. It's over." But Kody was not listening. He craved revenge. He spoke of suing Janelle for emotional distress, for defamation, even for undermining his business reputation. None of it held legal weight. But to Kody, reason had never been a factor. This wasn't about the law. This was about control. And when the law stripped him of control, he did what he has always done. He turned on the women who defied him. He began by phoning Mary, the last of his wives still legally tied to him. He'd suggested a desperate plan. We might stop the sale. If we pool resources, maybe refinance property. Keep it in the family. Mary hesitated. For years, she'd stood by a man who gave her excuses, but this time she saw reality. Janelle had done what she needed to. Mary hadn't. As told by a close friend, Mary confided in him quietly, "I'm finished, Kody. You made your decisions. Now you have to live with them." That was it. The final reminder of loyalty was gone. And then, in a shocking gesture even to his closest friends, Kody reached out to TLC. He needed to control the story. He asked the network to omit any mention of the lawsuit, the foreclosure, or the judgment. He even tried selling a new spin, that he and Robyn were downsizing in order to simplify life. But the executives had already seen the public court documents. They knew the truth was out. The lie wouldn't fly. One producer supposedly told him, "You can't spin a court order, Kody." Even so, he refused to accept reality. At home, the atmosphere was toxic. Kody was furious. Robyn was terrified. Their arguments turned fiery. He blamed her for wanting the mansion. She blamed him for signing the contract. Neighbors reported hearing shouting late into the night. Those close to the matter claim Robyn locked herself in her bedroom for several hours, crying. She was betrayed, trapped, and cornered in a nightmare of her own making. Their fairy tale was now a money battlefield. Meanwhile, Janelle's silent victory started creating a ripple of accountability. Christine openly supported her friend, calling it justice long overdue. Fans rallied to her side. And even Janelle's kids, Gabe and Garrison, spoke behind her back about their pride. Mom finally stood up. One of them was cited as saying, "She's the only one who ever kept her word." But Kody wasn't done scheming. He began calling the realtors himself, trying to delay the sale. He insisted the house was worth more, tried delaying listings, even attempted to move money out of accounts that were subject to the court order. But all those efforts were watched by the receiver appointed by the court. His every dollar was under surveillance, and then, in desperation, he made one last, reckless play. He proposed selling his final piece of Coyote Pass, the barren, unused land he used to call sacred ground. The irony stung. The land that was supposed to unite his family was now the final thing being pawned. But there was a catch. The lien on the government loan default of $150,000 continued to follow that property. He had no legal ability to sell his portion without clearing the federal debt. Another obstacle. Kody's empire was trapped from every direction, by the courts, by the government, by his own pride. While all of that was occurring, Robyn's health allegedly began to deteriorate. She withdrew from taping, canceled performances, and avoided social media altogether. She'd been acting the weeping, pitied wife for years. But now the weeping was not for an audience. It was real. Because for the first time, she couldn't cry her way out of it. The date of sale approached. The court had employed a realtor, set a listing price, and placed a freeze on all assets related to the home. Kody and Robyn were given 30 days to move out once the sale had closed. 30 days to pack up the dream they built on someone else's money. Janelle's friends say she did not celebrate. She did not need to. The victory was in the stillness, the peace of mind of having finally reclaimed her own. While Kody and Robyn were fighting to delay the inevitable, Janelle was having a sit-down with a financial advisor. She was planning her future, a small home near her kids, investments for retirement, and a fresh start with no drama. Kody, meanwhile, gazed at himself in the mirror for the first time in years. The king had no kingdom, no wives, and soon no home. But it wasn't quite finished. Because once that "for sale" sign entered the public eye, everything went ballistic, online, on the show, and within the Brown family themselves. And in the next part, we'll reveal how the public exposure of Kody and Robyn's foreclosure turned their downfall into national humiliation, and how Janelle's quiet strength became the most powerful statement in Sister Wives history. When the for sale came out, it was like lighting a match in a room filled with gasoline. Fans didn't merely notice, they bow follow. In a matter of hours, photos of Kody and Robyn's Flagstaff mansion swamped all the social media platforms. The caption for one real estate site was, "Court-ordered sale. Owner must comply with judgment." That one sentence told the whole story. For years, Kody and Robyn had reigned supreme. They were the last couple standing, the stable ones, the true love in a broken-down family. But now their kingdom was unraveling thread by signature, and the fans, they appreciated poetic justice. Twitter blew up. Reddit was aflame. YouTube channels posted reaction videos in hours, dissecting every phrase of the court document. The narrative shifted overnight. Kody and Robyn were no longer the victims. They were the villains getting their deserved comeuppance. The memes poured across the internet. Kody's face with a for sale sign. Robyn crying under the caption, "These tears cost $600,000. And the fan favorite? A photoshopped Zillow listing with the headline, "Mansion built on lies. Price, whatever Janelle says." The embarrassment was complete. But deep within the mansion walls, the laughter of the outside world gave way to naked fear. Kody would not let it be. He went on tirades about media bias and persecution. He phoned producers at TLC, demanding that they fix the story. He threatened to quit filming if the foreclosure storyline was not edited out. But it was too late. The truth was out on record. Even TLC, which had protected Kody's image for years, couldn't shield him anymore. Their legal department issued a statement confirming they had no involvement in the financial or legal affairs of the Brown family. Translation: You're on your own, Kody. And that's when the cameras caught what fans would later call the most uncomfortable footage in Sister Wives history. In a behind-the-scenes video leaked online, taken for an unreleased special, Kody sat in a minimally decorated living room, boxes stacked behind him, raging about betrayal. He appeared older, angrier, smaller. "This is all Janelle," he said. "She's killing what's left of this family." Off camera, a producer interjected, "But Kody, didn't you sign the contract?" Kody's expression chilled. "I signed it as family. She's using it as a weapon." The irony was merciless. At the same time, Janelle kept quiet. No interviews, no Facebook status, no revenge tour, just peace. Her lawyer confirmed the payment had been made. The house was in escrow, and she'd receive her full $600,000 as soon as escrow closed. Her victory was not boisterous. It was calm, elegant, and final. Christine had reportedly called her as soon as she finalized the sale. "You did it," she said. "You got justice." And she did. The mansion that symbolized inequality, that constant sticking point of tension between wives, was gone, sold, liquidated, the eye. Same house that Robyn had once bragged was her. Forever home became the payoff that recaptured Janelle Financial. Independence, that's not revenge. That's justice in action. But the true blowback came after the sale. As the moving trucks arrived, the street was abuzz with camera crews and rubberneckers. Kody tried to hide his face. Robyn cried openly on the driveway. Clutching boxes labeled family photos, they crammed the pieces of a collapsed empire into cardboard boxes, mementos of what had been a family and now only existed in the form of documents and regret. Insiders tell us Robyn begged Kody to move to Utah, to start over near their older children. "But no," said Kody. His pride would not allow running away. He still believed he could rebuild. But with what money? With what dignity? The foreclosure was more than financial failure. It was the slaying of his reputation, the death of Kody the leader. He was no longer in control. He was at the mercy of the court. Meanwhile, Janelle began anew. She bought a quieter, smaller home close to her children. No cameras, no craziness, no Kody, just liberty. Her $600,000 wasn't just money, it was validation. Validation that being quiet and doing it legally and wisely beats ego and emotional manipulation. Her story was a call to arms for fans, a warning to every viewer who ever felt ignored, disregarded, or undermined. That forbearance and preparation triumph over arrogance and control. The ultimate irony? TLC sources claim the upcoming season of Sister Wives could still attempt to rewrite history. They'll film Kody and Robyn downsizing, present it as a joint decision, not use the words lawsuit or judgment. But the audience already holds the truth in their hands. The fantasy is over. Because Janelle didn't just win in court. She won in the eyes of millions of TV viewers who finally got to see for themselves what she was really like. The quiet-spoken firecracker who outmaneuvered the patriarch. Finally, she didn't scream. She didn't scheme. She didn't have to. She let the law and the verdicts speak for her. And as the sun faded on the empty Flagstaff mansion, the for sale sign still hung where pride once lived. Janelle got her money. Kody lost his crown, and Robyn's tears, for once, weren't enough to change the outcome. This was the real finale, the one TLC never meant to show. The favoritism-driven empire constructed on denial and secrecy had finally imploded, all because one woman wouldn't be erased.